So one of the things I want to do right now is I'm going to stop the video because I don't want you to focus on me. I want you to focus on the slide presentation, and we'll get right into it. So, what I want to do today is I want to take you through my journey, my personal journey actually, and how I transformed my relationship with my wife and my kids just completely around, and how that ended up playing a very critical role in my overall health and happiness, and in making my life much easier, which is an incredibly difficult thing to say considering I am a father of 4 young children. So I'm sure any parents on the webinar right now, I'm sure you can relate right now. So, you know what? I mean, listen, I get it right now. You're tuned in because you want to see where this is going, and I'm glad that you have an open enough mind, just to join me today. I used to be exactly in the same situation, exactly like you, I guess, until I was forced into my own journey, looking for the answers I was looking for, which I sought, which was just, my personal answers I was looking for was feeling good, because I wasn't feeling good, and financial abundance, to be honest with you. And what I discovered over the years is that the relationships in my world played a very critical role in everything that I wanted in life. And I want to repeat this for you. The quality of your life is about the quality of your relationships, okay? And once I got my relationships in line and where I wanted those to be, everything else just sort of fell into place. So, let's get started here, and I'm going to tell you my story where I'm personally coming from. Now, for about 17 years or so, I was a trader down at the Board of Trade here in Chicago. Let's just say I wasn't living the healthiest lifestyle. It was a very fast pace, out with clients a lot, stressful. There just wasn't a very good lifestyle. But then, my life totally changed one night, okay? So I'm on a golfing trip with a bunch of guys up in northern Wisconsin in Door County, and it was a real bender weekend, so, a lot of drinking, smoking, gambling, eating like crap, not sleeping. So, and then on the third night of this trip, though, it's about 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm actually sitting at the bar, and out of the blue, the entire left side of my body goes completely numb, and then I lose all bodily function to the point where I was actually holding a drink in my left hand, and it started shaking so uncontrollably that it started flying all over the bar. People were like, what the hell's going on here? And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what I should do. At first, I thought I was having a heart attack, maybe a stroke. Should I get rushed to the emergency room? And I just decided, it went away after a little bit. And then I just decided I'm going to try to sleep it off. I'm going home in a couple hours anyways. I'm going to deal with it then. But the reality is the next day I was not normal again. In fact, for the next 12 months, I was not normal. It got so bad. I'd have, my symptoms were like a foggy brain, jitterness. Nothing was right. I don't know really how to describe it. It got so bad where I'd be sitting in my office downtown trading, and I got all my computer screens going, and I'd start freaking out so bad that I would have to physically remove myself from my office, take the elevator down 14 flights, and I'd walk around the blocks of Chicago literally 100 times, just breathing to myself, getting up the courage or the confidence just to go back to my office and to continue my work. And like I said, this lasted for 12 long months, to where, I ended up in the emergency room on a few occasions. I literally saw every doctor, every specialist, ran every test in the book, and they all told me the same thing. They just said, you just have some anxiety, just learn to relax and you're going to be fine. But there was more going on. I don't know how to explain it. There's definitely more going on. It wasn't about relaxing, and we just couldn't figure it out. And so, I finally exhausted all Western medicine routes, looking for what I wanted. And, finally there was one point in my life. This was a defining point in my life. And it's, like I said, it's 12 months from that first incident, and I'm in the bathroom and I'm staring at myself in the mirror. And I remember looking at myself thinking that this is not a quality of life. There is no way I can go on the rest of my life, in this condition. Something has to give. And for the first time in my life, I understood why someone would actually take their own lives. And I'm not saying I was suicidal, so I don't think that I wasn't, but I never understood why someone would do that before. But now I actually understood, because I had nowhere else to turn. And so I went to my wife at this point, and I basically, after, she was a very health conscious person, kind of in the holistic world. I don't know how you want to really describe it. And I said, I'm completely out of options. I have no more answers. I don't know where to go. All I know is this can't go on anymore. Something's got to give. Please help me out. And then she ended up giving me the name and the phone number of a nutritionist up in Wisconsin that started my journey towards recovery. So, I was a very typical American, just like everyone else, who thought health was about counting calories, burning as many as I could in the gym and just eliminating fat on my diet, right? But that's not how health really works. It's not about counting calories. It's actually about making the calories count. And, I thought all my problems could be solved with a quick visit to the doctor, a pill, and, lo and behold, symptoms are gone, problems gone, let's move on. But, that's just how I was. And, during all this time, I don't even want to get started on the fact that I used to be a very non-supportive husband. In fact, I'd go as far as making fun of my wife, because she was looking for any other options than what you're seeing on your screen right now. And then, so, long story short, after I went to her, started this journey, into, say, let's call it alternative medicine, 4 or 5 months down the road, after 12 months of no results, no changes whatsoever, I was finally completely cured and back and better than ever and healthier than ever. And so, one of the I don't want to say side effects, but one of the benefits for what happened to me too is, I cleared up the foggy brain, the jitteriness, the anxiety, whatever you want to call it. I call it just stress-produced anxiety. But I had lifelong allergies. Since the day I was born, I used to get shots in my arm on a weekly basis. Those completely disappeared. I remember my mother even, saying to me one day, she's like, yeah, allergy season's really bad this year. And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't had a symptom yet. This is insane. And then on top of it, I ended up losing 30 pounds, and not by counting calories and working out and eliminating fat. In fact, I increased my fat and I ate more than ever, right? Whenever I wanted, but I just made sure what went in my body was something my body needs. And then for those of you who have followed us before, I mean, that one of the main reasons we started this company is because my oldest daughter started having seizures. And we went down this path looking for answers to cure her seizures. And what we found was that by curing her seizures, it cleared my anxiety, my wife's autoimmune condition, and it started helping tons of families that we went to. And that's why I left trading after 17 years and, started this company with my wife. And it's also why I'm hosting this webinar for you today. And it's to help others in very similar situations, before they get to the point where I was. And today's topic is specifically on relationships, because that played such a critical role. In fact, I personally believe it played the key role in my recovery to everything. And so, the money question is, what did I do? Essentially, I became an expert on relationships. I literally studied everything I could, and I found role models, and I replicated their success. And the first place that I actually turned was this book called Love and Respect: The Love She Most Desires and the Respect He Desperately Needs by Emerson Eggerichs. And the basic premise of this book is, women desire unconditional love. And, this is really nothing new. We've been hearing this since the beginning of time, okay? But the flip side of it is that men don't really care about love or unconditional love. Men want respect. And that was really new to me, and I stopped and thought about it and what it really meant and if that's what I want. And originally I said no, and so I had to keep digging and digging. So I want you to stop for a second and think here. If you are a woman on the webinar right now and you do desire, do you desire unconditional love? And, how about your significant other? When you show them respect, do they act a little bit differently, maybe a little bit more loving in return? And, what about the guys even out there? When you give your partner that love she desperately wants and needs, do you find she automatically gives you respect in return, and both of you are actually in good places together in kind of this continuous positive circle? I really don't think you need to dig deep on that. You just need to bring awareness to it to figure it out. But here's the great thing about it. It really only takes one partner making a simple change to transform any relationship for the better. So, that's where I started. I really came in and I started making a full-blown, effort to show my wife, kids, family members, friends, everyone that I came in contact with, just this unconditional love and respect. And I really made giving unconditional love a top priority to my wife. And you'll never guess what happened next. She started showing me respect, and it was really just a natural occurrence on her part when I started giving her what she was looking for. It's not like I sat her down and said, well, I'm going to do this, so you have to do this. No, I just did it. And I don't even know if she's aware of what she did back to me, but it worked great, So, that's actually, let's move on now to where, my journey led next, let's say, and this was the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. It's on your screen right here. And if you're not really aware of it, you can actually go to 5lovelanguages.com to get what you need. And so, the 5 love languages here are going to be words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. Like I said, you can go there, you can take it. It's a free thing. And, here's where I learned my primary love language was actually physical touch. So what this means is the best way for someone to show me love, and specifically from my spouse, is through physical touch. But this also means that I tend to show love to my wife, or tend to show love to others, I should say, by touch as well. The flip side here too is I actually learned all of my family's love languages. And yes, my kids, I have 4 kids, they're younger. They even took the test. But, the main thing I want to focus on today is my wife, okay? So her primary love language, as it turns out, is acts of service. And so the best way that I can show her love was to help her out, whether it was with the kids, the house, the laundry, cooking, you name it. Anytime I was of assistance to her, that was a sign of love in her eyes, okay? So, obviously this is all brand new to me. There's no way I'd ever think of showing love to my wife by cleaning the house, right? So, but that's what I started to do. I started to help out with the kids a lot more, offering assistance, even before she requested it. I even started doing the laundry. We even made a schedule together of who cooked what meals on what days. My wife absolutely loved this one. To me, it wasn't a big deal, but she loved it. And you guessed it, right? Things changed dramatically yet again. Now, I do need to preference this by saying things don't always happen overnight. So I want to give you a little story here of what happened. So my wife works on Saturday morning. She goes out, she teaches class, and then she does a lot of the grocery shopping and errands before she comes home. So she's gone for a good 4 or 5 hours on Saturday morning, and I have the kids. And so I said, I grabbed the kids. I said, we're going to do this for Mom. We're going to clean the entire house, top to bottom, everything, laundry. It's going to be spotless when she comes home. And that's what we did. We spent hours cleaning it up, and then I made sure I contained the children, in the basement after we got it clean, because I didn't want that tornado to go through before she got home and saw it. And then, of course, she walks in the door. She's got all the groceries and all her bags and everything. And the house is spotless. She walks in, sits down, and she's exhausted at this point, but she looks at the stovetop and she starts like yelling at me. She's like, what is this? Is this how you clean something? It's not even clean. Who taught you how to clean? She started going down this thing. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. What's going on here? I'm trying to do something great for you. And she just goes off on how I didn't clean the stovetop to her satisfaction. So, I mean, needless to say, everything, doesn't happen overnight. But I promise that if you keep at it, you're going to see a significant change in your spouse and literally the overall energy in your relationship. So, that's really what I wanted to say. And so stop and think about this for a second. What do you think your primary love language is? And what do you think that is of the primary love language of your partner? And I don't want you just to completely end it by thinking about it right now. I mean, as soon as this webinar is over, I really invite you to go over to the website and take the test. And it's going to bring some clarity if you weren't aware of it already. So, now moving on. I mean, these first two things that I just covered here, it might be news to you. It might not be. Either way, they were major stepping stones in my overall recovery for health and financial abundance, to be honest with you. And, now at this point, you're probably also questioning the validity of one partner being able to change the actions of the others. And what I'm here to tell you is it takes a leap of faith. It really does. And maybe you are the person who doesn't necessarily live in the quote unquote faith world, but I'm here to tell you, sure you do on some level or another. I mean, how about this? Here's a silly question for you. Do you drive a car? Yeah, I mean, it is a very silly question, but do you drive a car? If so, have you ever driven a car on a 2-lane highway, maybe on a nice countryside like this picture right here? Stop and think about that for a second. You're literally driving in your lane, let's say 60 miles an hour going one way, and a car from the other direction's in their lane going 60 miles an hour. And all that separates you from literally a terrible and potentially fatal accident is a yellow line, or I should say 2 yellow lines on the pavement. If that isn't a leap of faith, I'm not sure what is. So, you see, you really do take that leap of faith every single day in some form or another. Why not try it in your relationship when numerous people literally all over the globe have done something similar and have raved about the results, I should say. And, I'm here right now telling you that it does work. What do you have to lose? There really is only upside potential here, okay? So moving on, now let's get into, another tool, and we're going to talk about literally neuro associations in your brain. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but, I'm going to play Dr. Hinman right now and talk about the brain, but just stick with me on this one, okay? I used to work long, stressful hours every single day trading the markets, and some days were very good, meaning they were profitable, very profitable for me, and some days were just bad, downright bad, which means I lost a lot of money. You can really sum it up that easily. And as much as I tried to leave my emotions at work, I just couldn't, and they would literally come home with me. But the one thing that I realized, no matter what, was that no matter what type of a mood I was in when I walked through the door of my house, of my home, as soon as I saw my wife, I would instantly be in a bad mood. I mean, I literally dreaded going home, and that led me to many nights where I just wouldn't go home. I'd stay out drinking with the guys, telling my wife it was all work related. I mean, I'm only marginally fibbing the truth here, So, then you have to start asking yourself, well, do I want to stop this? And for me, the answer was yes. And then how do you stop this? And, the answer really is to change those negative associations I had in my brain with my wife, okay? And it turns out I really just had to change those neuro associations. See, your brain is really a great thing if you stop and think about this. You create these associations which are like paths carved out of the forest, right? And the more you travel over them, the more they become defined. But just like any path in the jungle, if you stop taking it, the brush will grow back in and the path won't exist anymore. And that's literally what I ended up doing. I ended up changing those neuro associations with my wife and essentially created entirely new pathways in my brain. And the $64,000 question is, how did I do that? I mean, it's actually a very, simple concept to grasp. And I'm not going to walk you through the exact how right now. That is something we do cover in our course. But what I do want to tell you is the quality of your relationships and your life comes down to the questions you ask yourself on a daily basis, okay? So I'm going to give you an example of this, and I'm going to put this in, how shall I say, guy language, okay, for all the dudes in the webinar, okay? I mean, ladies, please don't take offense to this. I'm just really trying to resonate with the guys because this is how I truly felt at one point in my life until I started to understand everything that I'm going through right now. So, for example, don't ask yourself this. Don't ask yourself, why is my wife such a nag all the time? I know, that it's this is not a good place to be, and this is how I honestly felt. So don't go here, guys. This is not the place to be. Instead, you need to start asking yourself questions like, what do I need to do that I enjoy to help my wife stop nagging? See, your brain is always going to find an answer to the questions you ask it. So you have to ask the right questions. I mean, stop and think about it. Your brain always delivers. If you ask yourself why you're such a loser, your brain is going to search for an answer and start telling you all the reasons why you are a loser. And it's going to keep telling you that the more you ask it. So you really need to be aware of the questions you ask yourself and learn to ask better questions. This is, this is very, very important. Now, okay, let's stop and take a step back for a second. I want you to pick something about your spouse or significant other right now that just really drives you nuts, and you associate it with pain. I mean, for me, it was the constant quote unquote nagging, which in all honesty, was it really nagging? No, it was just her way of communicating with me, and it was my judgmental attitude towards her that actually turned it into a negative. So this is kind of it's a side note here, but it's an incredible lesson. So I mean, something to take away here. Learn to listen without judgment. Your life will be so much easier. Just trust me on this one. If you just take what everyone says in life and don't judge it, take it for what it is and move on. So, moving on now, I want you to take this negative thought you thought about and ask yourself a better question. So you heard my example already, but maybe you're the wife in the situation right now, and your negative thought is, my husband gets home from work and just plops his ass on the couch with a beer and never does anything around the house or help with the kids. I can guarantee that thought went through my wife's head, a couple times in her life, or maybe a lot. But now let's reframe that and say, what can I do that would be beneficial for both of us to help my husband avoid the couch and assist around the house? Your brain is always going to give you an answer to the question you ask it. So you better ask it the right question so you can actually get the right answer. All this really boils down to one thing, and it's the quality of your life, including your career and your finances, because that's something I set out for before this journey as well, is about the quality of your relationships. And you get, once you get that in gear, your performance everywhere is going to explode. And I'm living proof on it. And that's why this company exists, and that's why the webinar exists. I mean, you really need to think of a relationship as something you give to and not take from, right? What you put into any relationship, and the world for that matter, you are going to get in return tenfold. You just need to be watching for these opportunities as they present themselves, and then take advantage. You're going to have to move on it. And yes, one partner can change the relationship. And yes, it is worth it. I hear those two things over and over again. You know, relationships are prone to what's called the law of familiarity, right? Which states when you have been around something long enough, you start to take it for granted. And the first step of avoiding this problem is to become aware that this trap exists. And the number one killer of all relationships is associating pain or negativity with it. Okay? So, see, humans operate in one of two ways, okay? We are either moving away from pain or we are moving towards pleasure. And the drive to move away from pain is always more powerful than towards pleasure. So if you don't have the relationship you're looking for, it just means you're associating more pain with getting to where you want to be than pleasure you would have once you got there. So does that make sense? I hope I don't want to lose anyone there. So going back to my example earlier, I was always trying to avoid my wife because I associated her presence with pain. And it wasn't until after I changed that association and linked my wife with ultimate pleasure that the real magic occurred. And let me repeat that, let me just repeat that because it's quite incredible. I was literally able to link my wife with ultimate pleasure. And you can link whatever you want to with ultimate pleasure as well. I just chose my wife. And, that is one of the things we actually do here at the Hinman Holistic Health Institute. We give you the tools and actual how to make these changes occur and last in your relationship. So, let's just do one more just real quick exercise here. I mean, quickly just think about your relationship right now with your significant other and where it is today, right? And just you can write it down, or you can think about it, or you can go back at later and write it down, and figure out where you want that relationship to be 6 or even 12 months from now. So this is what you have to do with all your problems. You have to find clarity on what you want so you know where you're going. And then finally, you need to ask yourself, would you be happy if in 12 months from today, you were in the exact place you are right now? And how would that, make you feel? And how would that really make you feel? I mean, my guess is not very good just because I was there. But I want you to really dig deep on this one. Okay, what emotions would you feel? Would it be frustration, disappointment, doubt, worry, blame, discouragement, anger? How about rage? Rage is a big one, I mean, would you feel rage or jealousy or unworthiness or fear? I mean, you start getting down to fear, powerlessness, depression. I mean, that's at the very, very end of where you want to feel and you want to avoid. I mean, you want to avoid all these, at all costs. They're not a good place to be. So, I mean, realize that you're not alone on this one. I mean, not even close, to be honest with you. I mean, you are human. I mean, that really is the whole silver lining in this whole thing. You're human just like me and just like everyone else. And the real change is possible. You just have to want it and start associating pain with not getting it. I mean, I was literally in your exact shoes, and I made the decision I was not going to be in the same spot 12 months from that point. And I literally didn't have the luxury of having a roadmap to get me to my goals. I had to figure this out all on my own. And that's why my wife and I, we actually created the Hinman Holistic Health Institute, is to supply a step-by-step process, change in beliefs, supportive community, accountability, to get you towards your goal without you going through what we went through, which was literally, I mean, it was years and years of sifting through mountains of conflicting information, tens and tens of thousands of dollars, and trial and error along the way, figuring out what actually works. I mean, you can actually get there too. It's a simple process. Trust me on this one. I mean, and that's what we do. We supply the map and everything else you need to get there. You just need to want it. I mean, that's all it is. And, our Hinman Family Health Method, I mean, that's what it does. It helps you implement 5 simple habits to improve your family's health and just make life easier. And one of the habits is the relationship part. And like I said, it's something I personally never associated with health, happiness, abundance, financially. I mean, whatever it was. But to this day, I will tell you right now, I still believe the relationship part was single-handedly the most critical piece. And everyone's journey is going to be a little bit different. That's why there's 5 habits we work on. But the relationship part for me was huge. So, you know, I mean, if you want to start the journey with us, then I'd love to invite you to sign up for our introductory package. It's only $37, and you get a little taste of everything that we offer in the program. So, I mean, you're literally going to discover 5 essential nutrients to fuel your child, straight from an interview with the registered nutritionist Karen Hurd, which I spoke about before. She's the place we started our journey with. You're going to receive 9 family-friendly recipes, which are kid-tested and nutritionist approved, of course. You're also going to gain clarity on how, you know, your child's nervous system and yours, you know, is affecting your overall health and what to do about it. And you're going to enjoy 2 convenient training videos delivered to your inbox, all for this $37 price. And then, you know, you always feel empowered with these 5 simple, very specific action steps to improve your child's health. And you're going to experience the confidence and a sense of ease with simple action focus tool. And then finally, you're going to receive a private one-on-one coaching call with either my wife or myself, where you are going to gain a crystal clear vision for your child or your relationship. You're going to uncover the hidden challenges that are standing in your way, and we're going to really shift your confidence, leaving you renewed, re-energized, and inspired. And of course, we all, you know, I'm a stickler for bonuses. I always love to throw in something. So we're going to send you 5 specific daily inspiration tips that gets text right to your phone. It's going to be a short little video, you know, 1 to 1.5 minutes. You can just watch through, and it'll give you, you know, keep you on track for the day. And then and bonus 2 is a digital copy of our book, which I'm pretty sure you already got for signing up. So, you know, you can register for this real easy. Just go to hinmans.com/info. It'll take you to our page, and then you can sign up for that on your own, enter the credit card, and get started right away. So, I mean, this really does bring us to the end here. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And, you know, here I am back. If you have any questions for me right now, you can put them in the chat. There should be a chat feature just on your thing, and I'd love to answer them. If not, feel free to reach out to me anyway. My email is mike@hinmans.com. You can go to our website, hinmans.com, and just go to the contact page and get, you know, either send us a message or give me a call. So, but thank you very, very much. I hope you found it informative. I love this stuff. I never thought in a million years I'd be sitting here on a webinar talking about relationships, considering the life I lived for about 17 years at the Board of Trade. But it was enjoyable, and, you know, I'm here to help you out in any way possible.